Well, we're gonna go have a little bit of fun today. Going to a tractor show. I think it's been a long time. The last time I can recall going was the summer of my freshman year of college. So I think that was 8 years ago now. I'd actually intended to have a video for you yesterday because before I loaded the 19 up, I was going to hook onto the disc and go down here and disc down all this ragweed and shit coming up in this field because I don't want to moldboard it yet and then have a weed flush come in before fall and then have it get all green again. So I want to wait till at least like toward the end of September before I roll it over. But I don't want that damn ragweed getting out of hand, so I'm going to run a disc over the thick spots. But anyway, that didn't happen because I went to get the 19 out and the batteries were dead. Not dead, but just dead enough that it wouldn't roll over. And which I kind of expected, because if this thing sits about 2 months without a battery maintainer on it, that's just what it does. I don't know why. I've done a parasitic draw test. It's got all new battery cables. The entire wiring harness right out to the lights is brand new. It's got a new alternator. It's got a new regulator. I mean, the entire electrical system on this tractor is brand new. I can't explain it. And the thing I can't remember is if it did it with the last set of batteries. Because this is the second set of batteries we've had in it since we got it. And I don't ever remember doing it with the last set of batteries. I think it only did it since I put this set of batteries in it. But regardless. So, but I put the charger on it no more than hit it with some amperage and it fired right up. It's like you got to wake the batteries up and then it's fine. But got it out and it wouldn't come off a full discharge or full charge. It was pegged hard. And no matter what I did to try to adjust the regulator, because I shut it off, went back, tested the batteries. Batteries tested 13.6, or put a battery tester on. They were 13.6. You put a load on them, it pulled down to about 11.9, and then it jumped right back up to 13.6, and you took the load away. So the batteries are fine. But damn thing stayed right pegged over at full charge, and if you took your finger and you worked the regulator, it would regulate, but it wouldn't do it on its own, which is generally a sign that the coil took a shit. So pulled the regulator off and spent 2 hours driving around yesterday trying to find a regulator, and finally found one at O'Reilly's that their computer said was correct for this application. Looked right, got it home, got it on the tractor, wouldn't charge, pulled the cover off. Sure as shit, it's a dual coil regulator with a cutout, and this one uses a single coil dual contact with no cutout. And the way a dual coil regulator is wired, if you don't have a wire going to the cutout to actuate that coil, there's nothing to excite the alternator, so it won't charge. It's like, well, shit, now by this time it's 7 o'clock and I don't have time to screw with another tractor. So my other option could be to get the 1950T. Well, it's over at my house. I still got the planter monitor and all that shit on it. So I got the manual out and went through and did, there's 3 adjustments you can make on the regulator. And I went through and got the regulator, made all the adjustments on the regulator. They were all off, but I had never screwed with them, so they were off from the factory. That being said, maybe they have different specifications for different applications, and I just set it to the Oliver specifications. But either way, put it back on there and now it works. I still don't trust it, so I'm probably gonna, next time I make an order from Maybaugh, get a new one coming from them, because I know the ones they have are right. That way I have one on the shelf in case it decides to finally conk out all the way, because voltage regulators anymore are fucking garbage. You pull the cover off of an old one, like the one on my 1950T, that one's original. Pull the cover off of that one and compare it to one of these new ones that they look identical on the outside. No comparison. They are not built nearly as heavy as they used to. So, but anyway, I'm gonna get on the road here, so we will catch you guys at the show. Welcome everybody to the Boot Hill Ranch in Jones, Michigan. Back when I was a little kid, this show was a big deal. There'd be, usually from the gate over there to about here was all vendors, all the way down to the track. And then you'd have tractors and small engines over here, tractors and stuff down there in the infield that go up the hill in the back. And this place used to be packed. And it's one of them deals, like a lot of the smaller local shows, is the smaller local collectors are getting up there in years and selling off everything. The small local shows kind of start to peter out, so. But we can walk around for a little bit, see what we got here. It's kind of early on Saturday, so I'm sure more stuff's gonna trickle in here before noon, but their feature tractor this year is Massey Harris and Massey Ferguson, so Massey made some sharp tractors, I tell you what. I'd like to find a 444 diesel. That would be, that's the one, that's the Massey I want. This is probably a 44 diesel. Yep, 44D. My buddy Cody's got one of these. It kind of runs. Little pony. I got a toy of one of these. I thought that used to be the coolest little tractor in the world. And everybody needs to give Shelly a round of applause because she had to work last night, so she's only running on like 5 hours of sleep and she still made it up. Little D2. I got a toy of one of these. Or no, it was mine. I got a 22. That's what I got a model of. Which I think is what the D2 replaced. Pretty sure it's a 22. I haven't looked at it in a while. And then a diesel 60. Nope, not a diesel. Oh wait. Nope, this is just a straight 60. Yeah, there's the spark plugs, dumbass. Got it's a D12, D14. It's kind of small for a it could be a D14. John Deere GP. This little guy's always up here. I remember this thing showing up ever since I was a little kid, a little RTI Moline. Seems like this guy's local. Yeah, Three Rivers. Agro-Till. These things are like oversized garden tractors. Or Agro-Util, sorry. Chain drive. Silver Kings. Originally Plymouth until they got into a lawsuit with the car company and had to change their name. Everybody knows what this one is. little 60 standard. These things are so damn cute. It'd be really cool to find one on full steel. They're around, but they're really hard to find. I've only ever seen one, and I think it was actually a Cockshut. I don't think it was an Oliver, if I remember right. Mars-Off Implement, Spring Valley, Minnesota. That one came a little ways from home. Myers Implement, Elkhart, Indiana. That's where I bought my manure spreader. He was always a second-hand dealer. They were never an Oliver dealer, but it was at least down there at some point. That tractor's... He's got the starter weight. That was probably the original dealer. Oliver and Cockshut Sales and Service, LaPorte, Indiana. I know a few other tractors that came from there. I bet that's where this one came from originally. I was even smart today. I brought both camera batteries, so if I run out, I got more. Don't see too many 100s. 100s, 130s, you really just don't see. Seems like all the Cultivision tractors after the Super A just kind of... Of course, by that point, the farms were starting to get smaller, and that was kind of a dying class of tractor until people started realizing you can use them for utility tractors. Not saying they didn't still sell a crap ton of them, you just don't see nearly as many of them as did like the A's, the B's, the Cubs. .435 with a Detroit, little 271, or are they a 253? I can't remember. 2-cylinder Detroit. Huh, WD-45 diesel. There's one you don't see very often. For sale if anybody wants it. It's been repainted at least, or if not repainted, at least re-decaled once, because you can see the decals over the decals. .770 Wheatland. Only 5-star, don't really see too many of them. Got plenty of rubber on the back. This one belongs to a buddy of mine, Trey. I want to try to pull him on the stone boat later, if I can find him. He's around here somewhere. Eight-end funk. Wonder if it's a real funk or if it's a made funk. These are some interesting concoctions. Little Maytag motors, as in the Maytag washing machines. You don't gotta stay behind me. I feel weird. It's like being followed by a lost puppy. You do have short legs. Thank you. I think every one step I take is like 1.5 for you. Now, it's not very often you find one this old that still got a dealer sticker on it. Oliver Sales and Service. Seems like there's a letter missing there. URAMKIN Equipment Company. Can't make out of town. Wonder if there's one on the other side. Oh, this one's easier to read. Yep. However you pronounce that, Uramkin, Delton, Michigan. That's cool. This old girl's the definition of a survivor with that on there. That's got to be one of the last ones made with the throttle up on the column. Somebody even put a tack on it. Or an hour meter, I guess. Not a tack. Oh, that's cool. Oh, Graham Page Doodlebug. That is cool. Anybody need a jet-powered B-model Mac? Couple old Deere self-loaders. Martin damn it, I should know that name. I know right where that farm's at. I should know that name. They got a bunch of, they farm a bunch of muck and they grow a lot of mint. It'll hopefully it comes to me. I know that farm is still around. It's huge. I want to say it's Martin Blad, B-L-A-D, but don't quote me on that. Oh, yeah, it is Martin Blad. That, yeah, like I say, that farm's still around. It's more like, I consider it a corporate farm because it's that big, but it's still around. They probably use these, or I don't know if they had both of them, but they probably use those for land leveling on the muck, for drainage, if I had to guess. I lost the girls. We brought one of Shelly's friends came up with, and I don't know where they went. They were behind me, and then they weren't. Oh, they're right there. I see them. John Deere light running thresher. Sorry, V light running thresher. You got to put that V in there. It's very important. Hart Carter feeder. Or 1931 28-inch John Deere thresher. Okay, I thought I saw him, but apparently I didn't, so we're gonna finish videoing this stuff here, and then I gotta go find them. This is an SS14. Oh, Suburban 15. That's the one that replaced the SS14. All they did was put a bigger motor in it, but Huber 3245. You can tighten up their water pump seal on that one. Looks like they've been working on it. Oh, yeah, it's got a brand new radiator in it. $1925 Spoker D, don't see too many of them. Eagle 45, don't see too many of them. And then a 4-pole. This is another one that I always remember coming up here as a kid. I thought was cooler than shit. One of the first 4-wheel drives ever built. Not the first, but one of the first. field engines, or, you know, this one ran a sewer pump. Climax K67, 7-inch stroke, 7-inch bore, 135 horse at 750 RPM. That starter does not seem like nearly enough. And this guy, I don't think we got any information on. Right. Joseph Reed, 25 horse at 160 RPM. And then this big guy is a Bessemer. See if we can find the data plate for him. Not seeing one. Oh, but they got a plaque. 1908 Bessemer, 1-cylinder, 2-stroke, 80 horse at 180 RPM. Ran multiple oil wells in Beale City, Michigan. Little Appleton log saw. Some people call them a buck saw. Oil pull, model 3050Y. So it'd be an oil pull model Y. Because oil pull use letters. Minneapolis steamer. This one usually pulls a stone boat around with something on it. She's toasty. Don't see a horsepower marking anywhere. If I had to venture a guess, it's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of a 30. They're sawing cedar. If you guys could smell these chips right now, oh my God. We're back. We got up there about 10 and a little before 10 and stayed till I think we pulled out of there about 2:30. Walked around, talked to some people. Damn. I might have to undo another one before I do that one. Wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't twisted the wrong way. I got to play on the stone boat. That was fun. Although I was not set up for it. For those who don't know what a stone boat it is literally just a piece of flat steel plate with a chain on the front of it, and it's just a dead weight sled. It actually gets its name stone boat from the horse farming days. Son of a Buick. They would have wooden sleds that they would pull behind the horses for picking rocks or hauling milk cans or whatever, but because they're using them for picking rocks, they got the nickname stone boats, and it just stuck. And that was actually how tractor pulling started in its infancy. Actually, there's still places that'll do stone boat pulls, but now they're dead weight pulls. Your tractor has a set weight, and it's a process of elimination. They pull the sled one way, pull the sled back the other way. It's like 10 foot or whatever. Basically, as long as you can move the sled, you progress to the next step, and they pull all the tractors once. Everybody that moves the sled comes back for another turn. They put more weight on the sled. If you can move it again, and they just keep coming back. So it's an elimination pull. But back in the early days of tractor pulling, they would have stone boats. And before weight transfer sleds, you would have people standing along the track, and you would have a set amount of weight on the sled for your start, and then as you drove down the track, the people alongside the track would step on. You'd have people down both sides of the track, and people would step on, and that's how you added more weight to the sled. And then weight transfer sleds came about, and then stone boat pulling kind of became a thing of the past, other than the few places that still do it as a dead weight pull, and most of those are on asphalt or concrete anymore, at least the ones I've seen. But down there, it's basically you just drive a tractor on and you drag each other around the oval. And pulling a stone boat in a straight line ain't bad. It's when you start turning that it becomes an issue, because the corners will dip and start digging. So guys usually have to back off to get around the turns, or you're on the brakes real hard or whatever. And then that boat has a hitch welded on the front. It's just a flat plate, where a lot of them, they'll have angle iron or something welded on the plate so it can't flex. So that one, when you go around the corner, not only does it drag and dig, but the corner will dip and the whole plate will flex. But because it's dead weight, you're relying literally on all the traction you got. And I completely forgot that I had my drawbar pulled all the way out for pulling the fertilizer spreader. And I told myself last night when I loaded up, because I knew I was going to be pulling that boat, I wanted to suck it all the way in and flip it over to get more hitch height out of it, because the higher you can get your hitch, the more downdraft you got. And the higher you get your hitch, the more angle you got in your chain, you'll actually pull the front of the plate up. Because the lower you get your hitch, the front of the plate stays down, because the hitch or the chain on that plate is actually up off the ground like the AFR. So I was basically doing a straight pull on that chain, and if there was a dip, I was actually pulling down on the front, and then you start pulling a bunch of dirt. So you just keep adding weight. So if I'd have I'd have done a lot better, like I said, if I'd have had my hitch sucked all the way in so I was closer to the axle, and if I'd have flipped it over so I was pulling down on the back, or like the guy that guy with that 1750, because I pulled him around the track, and then he wanted to pull me around the track, so I pulled him, and then he turned around and pulled me, and he was cheating a little bit because he had a tow bar in his 3-point. I call them cheater bars. But so he was cheating just a little bit because he could basically pick the front of the boat up completely off the ground and load his back tires with the entire weight of my front end on the tractor. So but that is a very good demonstration of 3-point draft control versus drawbar pull, because you could take, like, obviously he was running 16.9 or 16.938 radials, no weights, dry tires, and less horsepower, and he was able to drag me around basically like nothing until we got to the hill in the one straightaway, and then he couldn't get me up the hill. Whereas I could pull him, but I was spinning because I was pulling off the drawbar in a straight pull. And then we tried, he wanted me to pull off his tow bar, but he had a quick hitch on his track, a regular quick hitch on his tractor, so he had the just the round hitch adapters on his pins, the locking in the quick hitch, so I couldn't run it on my hitch. And I didn't have any 3-point balls, otherwise I could have pulled off of his hitch and it would have been an entirely different story. I probably could have pulled him all the way around that track. Damn it. So next year, when I go up there, as long as I remember, I'm gonna take the tow, well, I'm gonna make a tow bar for the 3-point, because our Cat 2 tow bar, I would not trust it with that kind of weight. I got a feeling I'd snap the damn thing right in half. But either find a good one or build me one so that I can draft off the 3-point, or really cheat and put a tow bar on it and put my duals on it, and I could probably pull anything I wanted around there, because it's sand, so you're sinking. But it's fun. But like I say, it's when I was a kid, that show was huge. And then I can't remember when it is. There's a swap meet there too, and I can't remember if the swap meet's in the spring or if the swap meet's later in the fall. But the swap meet up there, that was huge too. Now the swap meet ain't anything. And the thing about swap meets is the internet has basically killed them. Really, the internet has killed a big part of the antique tractor hobby, because that was always part of, like, you look at all the older, like, Classic Tractor Fever videos and stuff from like the late 80s, early 90s. I guess Classic Tractor Fever would be mid to late 90s. But there was a few other older, like, tractor restoration and collection series before that, and those guys, they didn't have the internet and stuff. They were networking to find parts, and you know, they'd be naming off names of guys and stuff, and there was really big names in the tractor world of who you went to get parts from. And the internet has basically killed off that entire, I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen anymore, but a lot of the, I guess you'd call it, camaraderie of the tractor collecting is basically gone by the wayside because of the internet, because you don't got to go anywhere to find parts anymore. You just order shit off the internet, which kind of sucks, because I always liked going to swap meets because you never knew what you were going to find, and just seeing people and talking to people. But and anymore, you do go to the few swap meets that are left, and it's all just like junk, like old household shit, like not farm equipment related at all. So, but it'd be nice to see more of them little shows like that kind of pick back up and go again. And we had a local one here that was a big deal back in the late 80s, early 90s. There was a lot of little local shows like that like back in the 70s, 80s, 90s were a big deal. And our local one here basically went by the wayside because there was a campground behind it, and it got sold to an outfit, or it got sold and it became, the showgrounds is still there, but they lost a bunch of the showgrounds when the campground sold. And then the campground became like a ritzy Chicago person destination, and it just all went downhill from there. Then they still have the show, but again, like, it's nothing compared to like what it was when I was a little kid. It's kind of a shame. It's like every time something like that happens, America loses another piece of itself. Not that anybody gives a shit about that anymore. Just look at where we're at now. But anyhow, I'm going to get this thing unloaded and get unhooked and go in the air conditioning and put this video together. So, I guess with that being said, that's it for this one, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.